Okay, I'm going to show you today how to write up a conclusion for an advanced hydrography project and give you the main bits of advice on how you can go about doing that. So in a real project, you would be reflecting on the 3 research questions that you have now provided evidence to allow you to answer, whether that is proving or disproving those questions or a hypothesis. If you formed hypothesis, you do not need a hypothesis for a research question. It largely depends on the nature of your project. But if you did, you would be now answering those hypotheses. You would then want to relate the 3 research questions to each other where relevant, because they should be interconnected in some way or other. Or it's more than likely because all of them are linked to the aim. And you want to finish off by actually, talking about the aim and whether it's been achieved. It makes sense, therefore, to start a good conclusion because a conclusion is a bookend. It's the other end of a project. The introduction starts it up where you've got your aim, and the conclusion rounds that off. So it's good at this point to rephrase the aim for the reader. So, in this project, we aimed to do, and then you refer back to your aim. And you then want to also remind me, and, to achieve this, I developed a particular research question, and this is what it was, and I hypothesized this. So you're reminding me, the reader, that you had an aim, and to achieve the aim, you developed the research question, and if you had come up with the hypothesis, you would want to remind me that. Now, if in a real project, you'll obviously be talking about 3 research questions that you developed to achieve your aim, not just the one that we're doing in this mini project. At this stage, you now want to say, what's the answer to the research question and hypothesis? Okay, have you provided evidence that conclusively proves the research question, and therefore the hypothesis is accurate, or have you disproved it, or have you not? Do you not have enough evidence? Is it your conclusion that there is not enough evidence? You must point to the actual evidence that leads you to the conclusion that you're drawing. Okay? And when you say, I have found this, or I've proved this, or I haven't, then you're going to actually link it to something. There must be a graph, a map, a fact, a figure, a statistical result from a test, something that's going to allow you to draw those conclusions. Okay, and you want to. So, for example, we clearly provided evidence, as shown in Figure 3, which that the 2 factors were strongly linked, and supporting that conclusion, we did a statistical test, and that's shown, the results of which were shown in Figure 8. And that's the kind of way you should approach writing conclusion. You actually refer to the evidence that allows you to prove, and I got to be it's quite important here, not necessarily prove, but disprove, or I don't feel, and I actually think geographers are I would always sit on the fence this way. There's not enough evidence, unless you really you think your evidence is very compelling, that there's not enough evidence to strongly suggest that these things, but you decide what you're going to say, and it's got to be based on what your data shows you. I've said here, you don't feel you need to achieve your aim. Okay, the examiner is just looking at the journey, and that you're mapping out the journey you took, and that you can refer to the evidence that allows you to say whether you have or haven't proved it. A lot of geographers get quite worried that they have to, and if their data doesn't show that they proved it, that somehow they're going to lose marks. Certainly when you're at high school, you feel that way, but that's quite the opposite. That's not expected of you at all. As a matter of fact, most research ends up in dead ends in all academic fields where people don't end up proving something. And actually, when you end up proving something conclusively, people start to get suspicious, and they'll start really examining the data. Really, does this data show it? Because your data set's going to be quite small and it's only going to be based on one town, are you proving that traffic affects well-being? Well, you might have, but then again, it's only going to be on for the day you went and in the town you visited, and it's a small data set. So, just how conclusive is it? Once you've answered your research question, you want to then go back to your aim. Okay, and you want to talk about your aim, because as almost as the last sentence you write. But if you can once again draw another link between what you've discovered and your background research, I aim to prove this, and Donaldson 2018, had similar results to what I aim to prove, but I've found that my results don't, or I've strongly found that my results did, that they're the same, then that's a nice way to round it up. It's showing that you are acknowledging other people's work and that your results are either the same or not, and you've made those connections with that background research that you did earlier on in the project. So that's how to write a good conclusion. In a real project, it's actually worth quite a lot of marks. There's 8 marks available for the conclusion in an advanced sci project. So it's often rushed because people get to it quite quickly, and it's at the very end of the whole process, and they just want to quickly write up a conclusion, and they don't spend the time that it needs. So good luck with that. And there's one more tutorial, which actually is a section that normally comes after conclusion because it's evaluating the whole process.